So today I want to talk about pressure. And I want to talk about it because I feel like I've been experiencing a lot of pressure as well as the people around me. So let's just start off by kind of diving deep into the definition of pressure. So, pressure is a situation that can have significant and negative results if you don't perform well. Mm. Pressure is a situation that can have significant and negative results if you don't perform well. That is the definition of pressure. And I know as humans, we all face it at some point in our lives. I know being a part of a leadership team right now, I'm definitely facing a lot of pressure not to fail, especially since this is my first time. Well, not really my first, but somewhat my first. But I'm facing a lot of pressure. I know a lot of people our age are facing so much pressure. And I'm continuously talking about it in my podcast because it is a real thing. I can't even count on my fingers or some people can't even imagine how many phone calls I go through a day of just like family and friends that are feeling so much pressure in their life. So let's get into it. And I saw this quote that said, "You can't see the pressure one is under, and someone cannot see the pain that you're in." So sometimes, of course, we're under pressure and we're projecting that negativity, that anxiety, not even realizing that the person that you're projecting it onto is also experiencing the same thing. So we have to learn how to give each other that grace during these periods and not to bleed out on each other, because then it becomes this cycle of blame. Because I feel this way, somewhat feel like you are the reason why I feel this way. And then it just circulates. When really we're just in pain, we're spiritual beings going through whatever is set out for us in this physical world. And I hope that makes sense. But we have to be mindful that we are not the only ones in pain here. And y'all, if y'all hear any noise in the background, listen, I'm from New York City, Queens to be exact. There's always something going on. Like it's like 7:30 in the morning and it's so loud, but I love the breeze. So I apologize if you hear anything, but it's New York. Y'all know how it be. And to get into my first point, you experience pressure when you worry about living up to your own and other people's expectations. Now, I saw this other quote where it said, "Is our reality just our perception on life, or is it just what has been given to us? In other words, is it just how we're affected by nature's laws?" So again, is it our perception of reality, or is it really just what, the earth is handing to us? And in my experience, I've learned that pressure is literally what we make it. The same way that we can create that pressure for ourselves is the same way that we can create peace for ourselves. As human beings, a lot of us don't realize the power that we have in changing our mindset and changing our lives. We have the keys to open up those doors. We have the power to create opportunity, to create happiness for ourselves. But sometimes we choose not to because it's not always easy, right? But we do have that power to change our life, and it starts with the mindset. I can't tell you how many times I could be stressing about something, and then once I finally come to a conclusion, it's like a breath of fresh air, because that's all I really needed was just that change of mindset. So when you feel yourself really taking on that pressure or creating that pressure for yourself, think the first thing I need to do is change my mindset. So, mindset is everything. It's so cliche, but it's cliche because it's real. You know, you can wake up and have the shittiest thing happen to you. But if you choose to look at the bright side of the situation, like, you know what? It could have been shittier. It could have been shittier than what it is. Guess what? You're going to have a good ass day. But if you think of it as, wow, this is the shittiest thing that could have happened to me today. I have the worst of luck. Oh, you're going to continue having a bad day. And the universe is going to show you just how shitty it can fucking get. So always look to your mindset first. And yeah, I'm not saying it in a way of like, you know, I have it all together. I have this this mastered, because I don't. Trust me, I don't. But I am learning. I'm learning every day. So change of mindset is going to be one of your biggest helps when trying to relieve yourself of pressure. And I just wanted to share some things that I've learned about pressure. And I'm realizing that I already went ahead of myself before even looking into my notes. But the first thing was, of course, life is all about perspective. That's what we just spoke about. And secondly, sometimes looking at the situation from an outside view can again relieve that pressure, which I also think is all about just changing perspective. I know I spoke about just changing a mindset, but sometimes if you take yourself out of your shoes and you step into someone else's shoes, your problem or your obstacle looks so much smaller and so much more achievable. So that's also a great tactic, is to really take yourself out of your own shoes. And that's a great tactic just for life. When you find yourself judging someone or not understanding why someone is, you know, going about life the way that they are, sometimes you have to take yourself out of your shoes and put yourself into theirs, because you have two completely different perspectives on life. You know, we grew up differently. We grew up with different parents. We grew up in different time periods. So perspective is everything, and it will literally humble us all. One of my biggest teachers as well is living in the present moment. That will relieve you of a lot of anxiety and pressure, because when we're living in the moment, we're not thinking about what's behind us or what's in front of us. And when you think about what anxiety and pressure really is, you know, it's just a fear of what will happen in the future. We're creating these scenarios of what we think will happen. So now, evidently, we are stressed out. So live in the now. So you have to live in the now when you find yourself in these tough situations. Think about what's happening right in front of you and really focus in on that. Like for me, I feel like a lot of my aggravation may come from, you know, when I'm driving and we're stuck in traffic. So as soon as I find myself getting annoyed and agitated, I start focusing in on maybe, you know, the clouds or the sun, like, and I take in every detail, and I'm so zoned in whatever I'm focusing on that now I'm not too mindful of the traffic. I'm not giving it the same energy that I was when I was focusing in on that one thing. So that's just also advice for life. When you focus in on something that brings you a little bit more peace rather than the negativity, that's automatic, pressure relieved. And again, that falls right back into perspective. Communication and transparency go a long way. Now, I know that we all know that communication is just the key to life, but it's also about comprehension, because someone can speak all day long, but if you're not comprehending, what is really the point of communication? If you can't understand what I'm saying, what is the point of communication? So, when we say that communication is the key, we have to remember that comprehension is also the door that the key needs. So, and what this plays into is just when we're having a hard time with pressure, especially when it comes to pressure from the people around us, having that clear communication and having someone who understands, it goes a long way. Because I feel like I created a lot of pressure for myself in terms of where I think I should be at my age. And I just created this big story that, my mom wasn't proud of me, that I needed to be doing so much more than what I'm already doing. And having a conversation with my mom about these thoughts and, letting her know that I disappointed her, what I feel like I disappointed her, and her being understanding and and voicing her true feelings on that relieved a lot of pressure for me. Not to say like, now I just feel like, okay, fuck it, I ain't gotta worry about it, but no, it's like it allowed me to understand that this pressure that I'm creating for myself is not actually there, and I'm going above and beyond already to make sure that I secure a fruitful life for myself. So, communication and comprehension is a big thing. When you're feeling that pressure from that specific person, have a conversation, because sometimes it may not even be what you think it is. And in some cases, let's be honest, that is what it is. You're not always crazy. Sometimes that is what the thoughts are. And my biggest advice to some of my family and friends that experience this, because we are in that 20s age bracket, so we're taking risks, we're learning life every single day. When you experience a loved one who is like that, who's putting that pressure on you, always remember that once you reach your goal, no one is going to care how long it took you. They're only going to care that you finally made it. So don't sit and worry about, oh my gosh, it took me 5 years, 10 years to get where I am, because people do not care. They just want to know that you made it. So once you've completed that goal, that's all that matters, is that you did it. So don't stress about time. Don't stress about how. Just as long as you make the accomplishment, now you've created a blueprint for yourself, and now others want to follow that blueprint. So don't worry about time and how. Just continue working towards it and complete that goal. And sometimes you have to have the just fuck this attitude. You have to have that attitude sometimes, because that can relieve a lot of pressure as well. when you really feel like that anxiety and that pressure is high, just say, you know what, fuck this. I'm gonna enjoy my day. Fuck this. I'm gonna go out with my girls and we gonna have a good time. Fuck this. Sometimes we gotta say that because it's really not that serious. We are all just spiritual beings trying to find our way on this earth. This is not it for us. We are so much more than this, than bills, than a job. We are so much more than this. And that's what we have to remember. We're here for a good time, not a long time. So you better enjoy the journey of this thing called life. And I feel like out of my whole life, I felt the most pressure being a manager. I don't know why I came into it with this mindset that this would just be something that, I can just easily tackle, because I've always been very good with people. I love people. I feel like people are my therapists. I love conversation, as you all know. But being a manager has been one of the biggest struggles for me, because it's a difference between being able to usually just sit around and socialize than to actually manage people. Two very different things. And I've been faced with a whole list of pressures, which is the pressure of making a good impression, the pressure of leading a team, and if you're not leading that team correctly, you're failing the team, the pressure of trying to make everyone happy or at least content, the pressure of building great relationships, the pressure of being professional at all times, and the pressure of wanting to give up. Now, again, when I wrote this podcast and I brainstormed this podcast about pressure, this is when I was facing a lot of these things, specifically the pressure of building great relationships, the pressure of being professional at all times, and the pressure of wanting to give up. And during this time, all managers should understand, you have like this one troublesome staff that you really can't figure out, and can't understand why you can't mesh with them well. There could be some factors, but it's still that very weird gray area. And then you have this pressure of, you can't come out of character. No matter what's being said, no matter what's being done to you, you have to keep this level of professionalism. And that alone is very hard. Very hard. So then now you have this pressure of just wanting to give up just so you can just get the fuck out of here. Now, I've struggled with these three things heavily, to the point where I'm like, you know what, let me hop on Indeed, let me hop on LinkedIn and get out of here. But one thing I've learned about God is that he has a funny way of doing things. He does not play about my growth. No matter how uncomfortable I may get, no matter how much I just want to run away, God will keep me in a situation so that he can show me my strength. And with this specific situation, he definitely did. He said, you are so strong, you are so capable, you better take this head on, and you better not run away. And I'm not even going to allow you anywhere to run. And I'm super grateful for the push, because I don't think I would have done it on my own. I was already trying to run away. But, I had to have those uncomfortable conversations. I had to take on a lot of the rage, the animosity, the hostility, and still be able to communicate effectively and professionally. And I was able to do that. And I was very surprised at the end of all of it. Again, just how far communication and comprehension can go, and just understanding that we are all human and we all have emotions. So, again, back to perspective. Sometimes it's all about taking yourself out of your own shoes and stepping into someone else's. It's all about that communication and comprehension, the key in the door. And not running away when it gets hard. Not wanting to escape when it's easy to. Take it head on. You'll be surprised at your strength. And just to kind of end off this podcast, it is a couple of questions I wanted you all to think about. How do I carry myself when I'm frustrated? Because when you think about this question, it'll tell you a lot about yourself. A lot. How do you carry yourself when you are frustrated? For me, I know I fail the test every single time. When I'm frustrated, everything is up. Get away from me when I'm frustrated. Or I'm just completely quiet. Because I know myself very well. It's not nice at all. And that's one of my biggest goals, is learning how to still work effectively, still communicate effectively when I'm frustrated. Because I can't even think when I'm frustrated. So that tells me about myself that, I am not the best person to be around when the pressure is on. I can be very nasty. Because I have this laser focus on whatever it is that I'm trying to complete, and anything that gets in my way is just, it's aggravating, it's agitating, it drives me up the wall. So that's something I definitely need to work on. I'm continuing to work on, but ask yourself, how do I carry myself when I'm frustrated? I'm sure you will see a different side. And if you don't, listen, kudos to you. Reach out to me and tell me what you use in those very moments. The next question is, what am I allowing myself to feel pressured by? Sometimes when you lay it out all on the table, or what's really bothering you, what's giving you pressure, it's easy to begin to tackle it. So, when it's in that black and white. So have those conversations with yourself. What is it that's making me feel so much pressure? And then from there, just take the vital steps to figuring out, how can I relieve this pressure? What can we do to make this situation better right now? Because again, living in the present moment will relieve a lot of that pressure. So, those are two questions to definitely ask yourself. And lastly, how can I relieve myself of that pressure? I gave you guys some great tips as far as, again, the communication and the comprehension. Even these questions will, give you like a checkup from the neck up. Make sure you check out that episode as well. Also, I'm a big advocate for God. We downplay the power in the higher power a lot of the time. But God will get you through. You don't understand how much a simple prayer will relieve you of so much pressure and put a smile right back on your face. So I'm a big advocate of God. And again, just taking yourself, changing that perspective, changing that mental state, changing that mindset will go a very long way. So I hope that you all enjoyed this podcast. Like I said, my biggest goal is to heal and to help people in my generation as much as I can. And it doesn't even have to be in my generation, it can be in any generation, because we're all experiencing the same things, the same emotions, the same issues. We're all in this together. So if we can help each other, that's what I'm trying to do. Let's do it. We're here for a good time, not a long time, so we're gonna make the best of it. So I thank you to you all who continuously support me. I'm trying to build a phenomenal brand here. So this is Deep Convos and Tequila. Be sure to keep tuning in. I love you all. Later.